Přijďte na festival FUK! Minule to bylo moc hezký. Co tam všechno budeme mít? A není to jenom pro děti. Ale i pro učitele, pro rodiče, pro odborníky, pro divadelníky, a pro maminku a pro tatínka. Pro youtubery ještě. Těším se na všechno. Se na to těším tak polovičně. Pa, pa, da, pa, da, pa.
Děkuji, já jsem ještě nic neřekla. Ale vítám vás v DOXu, přeji vám hezké dopoledne. Vítáme vás na festivalu FUK, festivalu umění a kreativity ve vzdělávání a dnes konkrétně na odborné přednášce a následné diskuzi s názvem FUK odborníkům Kreativita jako pilíř vzdělávání, dobrá praxe z Walesu. Kreativita totiž patří mezi 4 hlavní pilíře a dovednosti, které tvoří základ waleského kurikula. A my si dnes s našimi vzácnými hosty řekneme, proč je jednou ze vzdělávacích strategií Walesu podpora kreativního učení skrze umění a kulturu a čím se můžeme u nás od nich inspirovat. Také bych vás upozornila, že přednáška a následná diskuze bude v angličtině, takže pokud potřebujete, nalevo si můžete vzít sluchátka, protože celá diskuze bude simultánně tlumočená. Dotazy je pak možné pokládat v češtině, protože sluchátka budou mít i naši hosté. Nyní bych ale ráda poděkovala partnerům odborného dne FUKu, kterými jsou Společnost pro kreativitu ve vzdělávání, Arts Council of Wales, Institut umění, Divadelní ústav a Kreativní Česko. A ještě zmíním organizátory festivalu FUK, kterými jsou Platforma pro kreativní učení uměním a Centrum současného umění DOX. A za DOX už nyní zvu na pódium Lucii Leitlovou, koordinátorku vzdělávacích programů.
Tak já bych vás jenom tady chtěla přivítat u nás v DOXu. Je nám velkou ctí, že se zrovna ten dnešní den odehrává tady u nás, protože se vlastně podílíme se Společností pro kreativitu ve vzdělávání a platformou uměním od začátku na vlastně festivalu a je pro nás velmi důležité, aby se kreativita dostala do vzdělávacího systému, nejen v neformálním vzdělávání, ale i v tom formálním vzdělávání a vnímáme umění jako prostředek nějakého rozvoje i dalších kompetencí, nikoliv jenom jako umění pro umění. A proto doufám, že společnými silami skrze všechny organizace, které jsou v platformě uměním nebo i okolo, že se nám to jednou podaří a že třeba bude takový podobný projekt, jako tady dneska uslyšíme z Walesu. Tak děkuji a užijte si to dneska tady.
Samozřejmě ještě ráda zmíním, že festival se pořádá za podpory Ministerstva kultury skrze Národní plán obnovy a městské části Prahy 7. A nyní zvu na pódium Milana Němečka, vrchního ředitele sekce živého umění Ministerstva kultury, aby nám řekl, jaké kroky Ministerstvo kultury činí vůči podpoře kreativního učení u nás.
Dobrý den. Dobrý den, dámy a pánové. Děkuji, že mám možnost vás pozdravit za Ministerstvo kultury. Děkuji, že jsem se dozvěděl zadání, ale trošku jsem s ním počítal, takže se mi tepovka příliš nezvedla. Já tedy bohužel nemůžu být potom na ten odpolední blok a ta diskuze by mě velmi zajímala, tak já tady teď přednesu nějaké informace, které se týkají vlastně činnosti v sekci, za kterou odpovídám. Někteří asi tušíte, co děláme v rámci Národního plánu obnovy. A týká se to právě kreativního učení. My jsme dosud realizovali 2 dotační výzvy na podporu projektů kreativního učení. Harmonogram, administrace a podmínky poskytnutí dotace byly uspůsobeny samozřejmě harmonogramu školního roku, respektive tedy sezóny kulturních institucí, takže pilotní výzvu jsme otevřeli pro projekty s obdobím realizace září 22 až červen 23 a pak byla návazná výzva pro období 23, září 23 až červen 24. Cílem těch výzev, tak jak jsme je v Národním plánu směřovali, bylo nasměrovat státní podporu směrem k projektům, které do té doby zůstávaly na okraji zájmu, nechci říct obou rezortů, to znamená Ministerstva kultury i školství, ale určitě Ministerstva kultury, přestože se vlastně jedná o aktivity, o jejichž veřejné prospěšnosti není potřeba nějakým způsobem diskutovat, tak snahy o systematické zavedení podpory projektů kreativního učení dosud v perspektivě státní kulturní politiky do té doby chyběly. Jedinečnou příležitost právě představuje ten Národní plán obnovy. Ten pro nás přinesl vlastně nové možnosti a nový úhel pohledu na kreativní učení, kde ho chápeme jako klíčovou oblast pro další vývoj rozvoje kompetencí a rozšíření možností pracovního uplatnění uměleckých pracovníků, protože jedním z těch pilířů Národního plánu na Ministerstvu kultury je status umělce. V těch dvou realizovaných dotačních výzvách ministerstvo podpořilo celkem 370 projektů a rozdělilo více jak 180 milionů korun. Podpořeny byly neziskové organizace, které nabízejí vzdělávací programy dětem ve školách. Konkrétně tedy to bylo 77 projektů za 44 milionů korun a podpora v kulturních institucích, to znamená muzea, galerie, divadla, tam to bylo 186 projektů za 72 milionů korun. Jedná se ze strany Ministerstva kultury o výrazné rozšíření nabídky běžných dotačních programů. Dosavadní dotační praxe na ministerstvu je taková, vy, kteří znáte, že financování podpory bylo možné získat na edukační aktivity doprovázející větší výstavní či inscenační projekty, ale zpravidla vždycky to bylo jako do míry, který umožnil celkový rozpočet nebo celková dotace, výše dotace toho kterého projektu. V případě projektů realizovaných ve školách byla situace jiná, ty dosud zůstávaly dokonce v jakémsi meziprostoru mezi Ministerstvem kultury a Ministerstvem školství a speciální dotační titul na Ministerstvu kultury vlastně pro ten segment vůbec nebyl. Národní plán obnovy vlastně nám jasně ukázal, že poptávka po projektech kreativního učení je v terénu, nechci říct obrovská, ale velmi vysoká. Zájem přichází jak ze strany škol, tak ze strany nově vznikajících koordinačních center, kterými se úspěšně daří propojovat školy a kulturní instituce v regionech. V té výzvě bylo podpořeno 17 projektů, takových projektů dotacemi ve výši 14,5 milionu korun. Určitým specifikem a důležitou součástí nově koncipované dotační výzvy Ministerstva kultury je otevření samotného tematického okruhu, který je určen na podporu vzdělávacích programů pro lektory kreativního učení. Dotace získalo 75 projektů, celkem bylo rozděleno 41 milionů korun. Jenom v pilotní výzvě bylo různým způsobem proškoleno v kompetencích ke kreativnímu učení více než 8600 uměleckých a kulturních pracovníků, včetně pedagogů. To je vlastně číslo, které my sbíráme kvůli plnění milníku Národního plánu obnovy. Celé tohleto počínání je vlastně pro nás významným krokem k další udržitelnosti podpořených aktivit a k širšímu rozvoji programů kreativního učení. Jejich hlavní cílovou skupinou budou vždy děti a dospívající. Pro něž kreativní učení představuje jedinečný způsob rozvoje tvořivosti, invence, afektivních a kognitivních schopností, dovedností a znalostí. Projekty podpořené v pilotní dotační výzvě na Ministerstvu kultury mají za sebou pro nás skvělé výsledky, které se ovšem nedají přesně kvantifikovat. Ze závěrečných zpráv a referencí zapojených škol a institucí lze číst nejčastěji kladný dopad na atmosféru ve třídě, celkovou spokojenost dítěte, ochotu k sebevyjádření a ke spolupráci. To všechno jsou vlastně důvody, proč aktuálně hledáme způsob, jak zajistit podporu projektům kreativního učení i po skončení Národního plánu obnovy, tedy od roku 2025. Nabízí se možnost, jako je třeba redefinice tematických okruhů běžných dotačních programů Ministerstva kultury či větší vzájemná komunikace Ministerstva školství a Ministerstva kultury. V současné době probíhají na Ministerstvu kultury teď paralelně a i dnes odpoledne fokusní skupiny v rámci revize dotačních titulů Ministerstva kultury, které mají ukázat, fokusní skupiny pro vaši informaci představují to, že si zveme odbornou veřejnost v jednotlivých segmentech a ptáme se jich. Myslím si, že to se asi na Ministerstvu kultury za tu dobu, minimálně za tu dobu, co já jsem na ministerstvu, nestalo, co by si přáli z hlediska dotačních okruhů, na co by Ministerstvo kultury mělo dotace zacílit a co vidí vlastně dobrého nebo špatného na stávajících dotačních okruzích. A tyhle ty procesy jsou nějakým způsobem vyhodnocovány a slibujeme si od toho, že nám ukážou i jednak ty skutečné potřeby a jednak nám možná ukážou jisté rezervy, z kterých bychom později poskládali nějaký takový dotační titul, který by navazoval na ten Národní plán obnovy. Já to tady nechci úplně jako v tuhletu chvíli slibovat jako hotovou věc, ale v mé sekci to vidíme jako velmi potřebnou záležitost. Osobně, když jsem si procházel ty výsledky těch 2 výzev, které jsme realizovali v Národním plánu obnovy, tak mě osobně největší vlastně smysl dává tohleto umělecké vzdělávání vlastně v těch znevýhodněných regionech, protože tam by se dle mého soudu vůbec podpora tohoto druhu nedostala. Děkuji za pozornost.
Děkujeme Milanu Němečkovi a já bych do první řady ještě ráda pozdravila další hosty, kteří vám zde budou po skončení programu k dispozici na individuální dotazy, a to Ludmilu Třeštíkovou a Vítězslava Slívu z MŠMT ze sekce vzdělávání a mládeže. Hezký den. A nyní bych už ráda pozvala naše hlavní hosty, kteří sem přiletěli až z Walesu a kteří nám shrnou novinky z čerstvé evaluační zprávy 5letého projektu. Diane Hebb a Sean James z Arts Council of Wales a John Paxley, vedoucí kurikula z walské vlády. Prosím, pojďte na pódium. Please, can you introduce your presentation? Já tedy přenechám pódium odborníkům a jenom vás upozorním, ať bedlivě sledujete, protože se poté budeme těšit na vaše zvídavé dotazy. Prezentace potrvá zhruba hodinu.
Dobrá ráno and bore da in Welsh, in Cymraeg, and good morning. We are absolutely delighted and humbled to be with you this morning. Thank you so much for asking us to come and share with you the journey that we have been on in Wales. Sorry. I'm not very good. Up, down? Okay, is that better? So we're delighted to be here to share with you the journey that we have been on in Wales. The title of our keynote is Creativity as a Pillar of Education. Yes. Good practice from Wales. And we're going to talk about, as I said, the work we've been doing in Wales over a period of 10 years. We actually kind of started our work 12 years ago, but our creative learning programme in Wales has been going on for 10 years now, which we are delighted about. It's a programme that is about the arts, it's about education, and importantly, it's about creative learning. And as I say, we hope that our presentation will inspire you, but also support the journey that you are on here. Next. I'm going to start with a little bit of the history, and it sounds very similar to what we've just heard. So back in 2013, the beginning of our creative journey, we published an independent review of the state of the arts in schools in Wales. This was a review that was commissioned by our colleagues in the Welsh Government. It was led by a task force chaired by our chair of the Arts Council of Wales at that time and supported by ourselves. It took 12 months to do that review because we were determined to get it right. During that period of time, we looked at systems in other countries. We spoke to policymakers, we spoke to teachers, we spoke to artists and arts organisations, and most important of all, we spoke to children and young people about their experiences. It evidenced and highlighted the systemic decline of the arts in our schools in Wales and the almost absence, total absence of creativity and imagination in our curriculum. It stressed the need to reverse that situation, increase and improve access to the arts for learners, but significantly, it highlighted the fundamental importance of placing creativity at the heart of all the learning in our schools, not just in the arts. The recommendations of that review were accepted, and then we were tasked to work with the department, Ministry of Education, to develop an action plan to address all of the issues that were raised in that report. We'll come back a bit later to tell you what happened next, but I'm going to hand over now to my colleague, John Pugsley, from the Department of Education in Wales, to talk to you about what was happening in education at the same time that we were doing this work, exploring what was happening with the arts.
Thank you, Diana. Good morning, everyone. Yes, John Pugsley from Welsh Government. I'm really pleased to be here today to share with you what we've been doing the last 10 to 12 years on our journey so far. The next slide you've got in front of you there is about successful futures. A year after the report Diane mentioned in 2013, we actually appointed Professor Graham Donaldson to review the curriculum and assessment arrangements in Wales. The curriculum had not been reviewed for a number of years, and it was felt it was the right time. In 2015, a Successful Futures report was published, which contained far-reaching and ambitious recommendations for a new curriculum in Wales. The report itself set out 68 recommendations, quite a few. They were all accepted, and those recommendations ensured that the curriculum, assessment and pedagogy and wider system accountability would be considered for the future. As I mentioned, all 68 recommendations were accepted, and the journey towards Curriculum for Wales commenced. So here we go then, next slide. Okay, so the new Curriculum for Wales continues to be developed from Successful Futures recommendations in 2016. In the following 6 years, Welsh Government worked with stakeholders, including practitioners, organisations like the Arts Council, to my left, young people and parents, and through cooperation and collaboration, we developed the Curriculum for Wales. The important thing for Wales was that we didn't want it to be seen as government saying, here's your curriculum, deliver it. What we wanted was, this is our curriculum, let's deliver it together. So the next few slides now will sort of cover the new curriculum. So we just move on. Sian's very good at doing this, clicking at the slides. I have to say, Sian, thank you. I couldn't do it myself, you know, multi-skilling. It's hard enough holding a microphone. Okay, right. As you'll see on the slide above me, there's 4 core purposes to the Curriculum for Wales. Okay. Ambitious, capable learners, healthy, confident individuals, ethical, informed citizens, and enterprising creative contributors. Now, the enterprising creative contributors really brings creativity to life in the new curriculum, which basically learners from the age of 3 right through to 16 will cover. Okay. The next slide. Enterprising and creative contributors. I mentioned it was one of the 4 purposes, but broken down here exactly what it actually means. So the first point there is connect and apply their knowledge and skills to create ideas and products. Think creatively to reframe and solve problems and identify and grasp opportunities. Take measured risks and play different roles in teams effectively. Express ideas and emotions through different media. Give of their energy and skills so that other people benefit. Those are the skills that we all need in life, and they're the skills we're actually transferred into our young people. The curriculum for Wales has 6 areas of learning. Each of the areas have equal importance. In the past, music, drama, dance would be seen as non-core subjects, therefore not as important as maths, literacy, science, etc. So what we've decided with the new curriculum, we'd have 6 areas of learning, expressive arts being one of those, which I'll come on to in a few moments, but also health and well-being, humanities, languages, literacy and communication, mathematics, and numeracy, and science and technology. So just sticking with the expressive arts area, I want to just sort of explain a little bit more background what the expressive arts area actually covers. So first of all, the expressive arts area aims to make the expressive arts accessible to all learners. And through this inclusive approach, expand the horizons of every learner in Wales. Experiencing expressive arts can engage learners physically, socially, emotionally, and physically, nurturing their well-being, self-esteem, and resilience. The area itself will support development of the rich and authentic contexts that the expressive arts provide. I'm not sure if it's beer or water, but I think it's water. Okay, it's fine, it's fine. Bit disappointed, a little bit. Okay, never mind. The area will support development of the rich and authentic context that the expressive arts provide for learners to realise the 4 purposes of the curriculum for Wales. Okay, we'll move on to the next slide. Perfect, Sean, thank you. We get on well, it's okay. We're good friends. That's the right one? Yeah? Perfect, thank you. With the curriculum for Wales, in the past, a curriculum would be very prescriptive for a teacher. You must do this, you must do that, you must do this and that, and then the inspectorate would come along and tick all the boxes to make sure the teacher has taught the curriculum. No, we've changed that. We are no longer being prescriptive with schools. We provide them with what we call what matters statements, and then they develop their curriculum based on the needs of their learners. So, as an example, under expressive arts, here's 3 what matters statements. Exploring the expressive arts is essential to develop artistic skills and knowledge, and it enables learners to become curious and creative individuals. There's another one called responding and reflecting, both as artist and audience, is a fundamental part of learning in the expressive arts. Creating combines skills and knowledge, drawing on the sense, inspiration, and imagination. So a teacher would have those what matter statements, and they would determine then how they would teach their learners to ensure that what matters statement is covered. And they do it the way they feel they need to do it for their learners. I think that at the moment is my last slide before I now really smoothly pass across to my colleague, Diane, to carry on. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you, John. John is going to provide all of the jokes and the humour as we go through this presentation, okay? 2015 was mentioned in John's presentation about the review of the curriculum that was happening. There was a real synergy going on in Wales at this point in time, because 2015 was the year that we launched Creative Learning Through the Arts, an action plan for Wales. So this came out of the review. It came out of a year of work involving ourselves, the Arts Council, the Ministry of Culture, and the Ministry of Education, working on developing this plan. It was initially a 5-year action plan, and as I said, it was launched in 2015. The plan had 3 primary aims: to improve attainment, educational attainment, through creativity, to increase and improve the arts experiences and opportunities for all of our learners, and to support teachers and arts practitioners to develop their skills to be able to help deliver this plan. Both culture and education in the Welsh Government signed up to those aims and the plan, and the Arts Council, ourselves, Arts Council Wales, and Education agreed to support the delivery of the 5-year plan, and together we committed £20 million to that programme over 5 years. What was key here is that the plan was developed in partnership, absolute partnership, not one side saying this and the other side saying, yes, okay. We worked in partnership to arrive at what we felt was needed for our learners in Wales. It was a partnership then between arts, culture and education at national level, and the plan was built on the same equal partnership being in place at a regional or municipal level and a local level. So that partnership being absolutely at the heart. In the first 5 years of the plan, we delivered a strand called Experiencing the Arts that supported schools to develop their knowledge and understanding of the arts, and introduced a strand that aimed to increase opportunities for all our learners to experience the arts. And we're going to come back to that a little later and share a bit more about that. But at the heart of the plan, yes, at the heart of the action plan, and the key focus for delivering change in our schools was the Lead Creative Schools scheme. And we're going to just share a little film with you that will give you a flavour of what the scheme was all about, and then we'll come back and talk a bit more about it.
Creativity is in all things, and it needs to be at the forefront, really, of education, because you can apply creative skills to maths, to numbers, in all things, really.
The Lead Creative Schools projects do offer increased opportunities for pupils to more directly and immediately influence their learning.
A falle oherwydd y disgyblion at dewis I bod pwrpas ble oedd y prosiect yn mynd, pwy oedd yr artist o'n i'n gweithio gyda, maen nhw bendant yn cael y perchnogaeth ar y prosiect.
What I liked about Creative School was it gave me confidence. It made me speak out much louder in class, and with my free writing, it made all my imagination just burst out of me.
As a teacher, I spent a long time trying to find ways to engage my learners. I'm continually surprised how engagement is not even a question when it comes to a creative project.
Fi'n credu mai prawf o lwyddiant y cynllun yw bod ysgolion yn dymuno rheiadru'r holl brofiad yma I ddisgyblion eraill a blynyddoedd eraill o fewn yr ysgol ac I athrawon eraill. Nid rhywbeth ynysig yw e.
This is our future generation, and from the project that we've just done, if those children's self-esteem is raised, then that is massive. because that can affect their lives. You know, if they believe in themselves, then they're going to achieve. And that to me is just amazing.
That gives you a flavour of what the scheme was all about. So the Lead Creative Schools scheme was devised to achieve 4 aims. So I'll just quickly go through those. So develop approaches to teaching and learning using the arts as the intervention. Develop the creative skills of our teachers and learners. Improve learner engagement by putting their voice at the heart of learning, and improve the educational attainment of our learners and our pupils. Collaboration, as I've said, and partnership was and still is at the heart of this scheme. It's an equal partnership between educators, creative practitioners and learners, a real step change from what had been happening in schools, and a precursor to the expectations of the new curriculum in Wales. Learners are involved in decision-making at the very start of the project, right at that very beginning, and throughout the project. They choose which creative practitioners are coming into the school to do what kinds of projects. They're right in there at the heart of the decision-making. Teachers and artists recognise the different skills that each bring into that learning space, and they work collaboratively to support the creative educational journey of the young people. I'm going to hand over to Sean to say a little bit more about the scheme itself and what it looks like in practice.
Can I give you that? Please. No, it's okay. I'll keep it. Hi, everybody. Okay, so if we just move on to the next slide then, please. And before I talk in detail about the scheme, I want to share with you our definition of creativity. And some of you in this space may be familiar with this already. But we define creativity as a habit of mind, and we use the model that was developed by Guy Claxton, Bill Lucas and Ellen Spencer at the Centre for Real World Learning at Winchester University. And we see it as a skill that's not bound within the arts and that can be nurtured. Now, I think we'd all agree there are many definitions of creativity out there, or different people see it in different ways. Some people feel it is a special gift. Others think it might be all about the end product, and others think it's only about the arts. But we believe creativity has so much more to offer than that, and it brings with it the ability to question, to make connections, to innovate, to problem solve, to communicate, and to reflect critically. And these are the skills that our young people need if they are to take responsibility and lead on their own learning. These skills also enable them to adapt to and manage change, and they are absolutely the skills that are demanded by today's employers. But above all, creativity empowers young people to imagine the world in a different way and gives them the confidence and the motivation to make positive change happen. Now, this grid that you see up on the screen here is also a formative assessment tool that helps learners to do the following. It helps them to develop a shared creative language. It gives them an opportunity to reflect, to self-assess, and really value their own creative skills. It allows them to include supportive evidence and track their progress over time. It also gives them the opportunity to be more aware of the times when they're using their creative skills and also when they're not. It seeks opportunities to be more creative, and it identifies learning goals for the future. So it does that for the learners, but it's also a great tool that can really help creative professionals, artists, and teachers. And it allows them also to create a shared language around creativity in terms of what do we mean by that? How can that be delivered across the school community? It also gives them an opportunity to think about the value that we place on creativity in our schools, how we can increase opportunities for developing creative skills while learning. It develops teaching practice and also supports reflections and goal settings for their learners. Next slide, please, Diane. She's also good at moving the slides on. So this is, as a team at the Arts Council, this is what we mean by creative learning. But to help exemplify that, I'm going to explain a little bit about how the scheme works in practice. Diane touched upon it in her previous slides, but I'm just going to talk very briefly about the key partners that are involved in the delivery of an inquiry. So let's begin with the creative agents. Now, creative agents are the creative thinkers and the ideas generators. As independent professionals, they are the catalysts for change, and they are uniquely placed to develop sustained, supportive relationship with teachers and school staff, learners, and other creative professionals to ensure effectiveness, reach, and sustainability, leading to the improvement and changes to pedagogy. Schools in the scheme are responsible with the guidance and support of their creative agent to recruit appropriate creative practitioners. In Lead Creative Schools, teachers and other staff always work alongside creative practitioners in the classroom in ways that allow both skill sets to complement each other. So this isn't about creative practitioners going into a school and taking the place of the teaching and learning. They work alongside the teachers, and as individuals, they work as co-constructors of learning. Schools in the scheme are also expected to identify a school coordinator to support their work. And these school coordinators, they play a vital role in making the scheme successful. They are responsible for driving the work and also ensuring that it is integrated into the wider practice of the school. Next. So, in developing and implementing the scheme, the Arts Council of Wales sought the expertise of Creativity, Culture and Education, an organisation who had invested heavily in research and really looked under the bonnet of what was happening in classrooms and learning environments in their own creative learning programmes. And what emerged was this, the high-functioning classroom, or as we call it now, the high-functioning learning space. And these are some of the conditions that we are trying to get our teachers to really think about. How you use the space, to really get them to think about what that learning experience will look like. Now, we're not saying that low function is bad. That's not what we're saying at all. Many education systems are built on this model, and some perform very well in international tests. But we know that this environment doesn't appeal to all learners. Teachers need to be able to move across these domains, and we need learning experiences to be more responsive to the needs of the learners. Next slide, please. Our approach, therefore, is to try and move teachers, creative and cultural inquiries into that right-hand side column. And schools located here remain structured with clear systems for monitoring, evaluation, and reflection, but they're far more empathetic. In such schools, there is a greater focus on personalization. Learners are more independent and they're more confident. The approach to the curriculum is more flexible, and the teaching is structured in such a way as to fully engage the learners. Now, these schools are considered to be high-functioning, high-system schools. But for this to have an impact on our school, this way of working needs to be adopted by the teachers. And this really requires them to focus more on the process rather than the outcomes, on the way the school is organised and the way that teachers teach rather than on test results. When high-functioning processes is in place, this leads not only to an increase in engagement, well-being, and confidence, it also, in turn, leads to an increase in attainment. Just going to hand back over to Diane now. Thank you.
Thank you, Sian. We're going to come back to some of that in a moment, but we're just going to have a little detour because I said earlier that whilst all of this, the Creative Schools programme is being delivered in schools in the way that Sian has described, we were also running our Experiencing the Arts strand of the programme. And John, do you want to just say, because I think it's really interesting, because this is very much an arts programme, it's about experiencing the arts, but it's always really interesting to hear from our education government colleagues their perspective on the success of this scheme.
What now, Diane? Okay. Yeah, from an education perspective, the Go and See is really important. The curriculum for Wales, I mentioned earlier on, is focused on young people having experiences as well as a good learning experience. And it is an important part of their sort of learning. Go and See has been going now for, gosh, about 10 years, Diane? There we are, look over, get a nod, I'm right. Which is good. And in that time, it's provided lots of young people opportunities to visit theatres, galleries, and experience the arts. And a lot of children in Wales are in deprived areas, and they very rarely get an opportunity to go to a theatre or a gallery like a sort of a middle-class child would. And a couple of years ago, the Minister for Education went on a visit and met some children who were at the theatre. And she was talking to one little lad, about 6 or 7 years old, and so excited about going to a theatre, and couldn't understand how people weren't inside the TV, which really sort of summed it up, though, is a child not getting those experiences. All they see is a TV screen and not what it's like to be in a theatre. And it was something that really struck with the minister, who then agreed to extend the actual funding for the actual scheme as well. So really important. And we've also, I know you're going to come on to this, Diane, but while I got the microphone, I'll just carry on talking. I'm like that. Once I get the microphone, that's it. We've also got Have a Go Fund, which I'm sure Diane will talk about shortly. And the Have a Go Fund, we've set up what we call a national music plan, because Wales, very much music is part of the heritage, and we were feeling that music was sort of being pushed to one side, especially during COVID. So we set up a national music plan, and part of that, which the Arts Council agreed to take on then, was Have a Go Fund, which is allowing youngsters the opportunity to go to where an orchestra is performing and have a go themselves at playing a violin and a trumpet and what have you. So again, a really important part of experiences. I think I've spoken more than I was supposed to then, wasn't I? So I'll pass back to you now.
You're forgiven, John. That's fine. What we do with both of these schemes is we give relatively small grants to schools. So schools can apply to the Arts Council for a grant. And with Have a Go, the grant pays for buying tickets, and it pays for transport, which is one of the reasons it is so important, especially for those areas in Wales that experience high levels of poverty and deprivation. It's giving opportunities to young people and children that they would not get if it wasn't, if we didn't have this scheme that we were supporting schools. We've got another little film just to give you a flavour again of what go and see and experiencing the arts looks like.
When we heard about the grant from the Arts Council, we jumped, at the chance of doing something like this.
Dwi wirioneddol bod theatr yn gallu newid bywydau pobl, enwedig pobl sydd ddim yn cael y cyfleoedd yma adra, ella dyle bod nhw'n cael fo trwy'r ysgol.
The transport costs to get us up here, we wouldn't have been able to afford really. Without that help, so it's been a big benefit to the school and the children.
Mae'r plant wedi mwynhau mas draw. Gyda'r arian wrth y cyllid, mae'n rhaid i nhw byd o waniaeth I gyrraedd mae heddi.
It's lovely to see the children in this sort of setting outside of school. They don't think they're learning, but they are. It's lovely.
Okay, so what difference has all of this made? We commissioned an independent evaluation of the first phase of the programme. So an independent organisation evaluated the first 5 years of the programme. During that time, we had annual reviews as well, just kind of telling us how it was going, were we on track to meet those original aims of the programme. This first slide has come out of that evaluation, and this looks at the big question, the big challenge that we were given right at the very start, which was all about educational attainment and whether we could actually demonstrate positive outcomes in terms of the educational attainment for those pupils who had participated in the creative learning scheme. It was measured in 4 different ways. So the 4 categories that are on the slide reference 4 different ways of measuring. But I'm just going to reference the top one, the category 1, because that was what we did there was tested pupils before the creative intervention, which was for most pupils at least 1 year and for some 2 years. They were tested at the start, so their attainment levels were tested at the start, and then their attainment levels were tested again after the intervention. And the evidence, the quantifiable evidence that we have has told us that in 94% of instances, there was a positive outcome for those learners because of their engagement in a creative learning scheme. The next slide, we also, as part of the evaluation, we were exploring what was happening with teachers, what progress, what the changes were there. And again, our evaluation shows teachers were focusing on the creative habits of mind, but we were also asking them to look at their own creative habits of mind and were there any changes there. And again, they came back and they told us that they themselves were being much more collaborative and imaginative in the learning space. So their own teaching practice was changing compared to how it used to be. This one, an important measure for us, particularly in the context of this scheme supporting the implementation of the new curriculum in Wales. So the question was whether being involved in Lead Creative Schools changed the role of creativity in and across the whole curriculum, all 6 areas of learning, not just in the arts. And as the evidence that we've had from the evaluation tells us, 87% of those schools gave a very positive response to that. Yes, it had changed their approach across the whole school. Creativity was happening much more across the whole school. And then finally, when asked about the impact on teaching, learning and assessment, so assessing their learners, 89% of schools told us that the impact of being involved in this creative learning program using the arts as the intervention was either positive or very positive. None of them said it was negative. We have 1 or 2 testimonials to support this as well, so I'm just going to ask Sian to share the testimonials with you.
It's like doing a dance on this stage. Yeah, I mean, I'm literally just going to allow you to read those for yourselves, but I'm going to talk around them a little bit. But that first one where it talks about the understanding that creativity has a place in all subject areas and that it's central to that educational process. I think that's really, really important. It's all about getting people to think and look at things differently. We need to try and empower our teachers to take more risks, to think outside the box and to do things differently and to really, really trust that process. And I think we all know it can sometimes be difficult to or for teachers to feel that they have the permission almost to let go a little bit and kind of allow the chaos to happen. But creativity is messy, and you know that's how it should be. That bottom one there, it says, now we're moving into the new curriculum. People are happier to try something new. The scheme has made it easier to say, let's have a go at this and let's look at it differently. Here, the top one here really talks about the 5 creative habits of mind and how they can use them, you know, from the start of an inquiry right until the end. Children are aware of their own creativity. They use it as a self-evaluative tool. And this also, I think, highlights the importance of how we have gone around to develop that common language around creativity so that everyone is talking about it in the same way. And even young children talk about using their persistence and imagination. Even 5-year-olds are using those words, which I think is incredible. I'm not sure I was using those words when I was 5 in school. And then this one is just something around the design of the new curriculum. And Diane mentioned at the start of this presentation that this whole program really was seen as a precursor to the realization and the delivery of curriculum for Wales. And I think schools, teachers who have taken part in the Lead Creative Schools scheme can really talk now and evidence quite strongly how taking part in this intervention has really helped with their curriculum design, you know, giving them fresh perspectives, looking at things through different lenses. And it's great to know that those schools are now using those skills that they have nurtured through being a part of this program. All of those skills are now integral into their curriculum design and its delivery. I'm going to sit down again. And I'm going to pass over to Diane.
So finally, kind of just in terms of evaluation, and we're quite pleased with this one. So when we started the program in 2015, the World Economic Forum placed creative thinking at number 10 of the top cognitive skills required. Last year, 2023, it was number 2. So it's now recognised, it's gone up. It's recognised as being number 2 in the most important cognitive skills that are required. By committing to this programme, Welsh Government, education and culture departments and ourselves, as the body responsible for delivering and supporting and developing the arts in Wales, by committing to this programme, we're really pleased that young people in Wales are now emerging as global creative thinkers. We're coming towards the end. So this has been a long journey for us. As I said, we started the investigation in 2013. We started delivering the program in 2015. We are now coming into the 10th year of the creative learning through the arts program, 10 years. The success of the first phase gave us an extension. That was the COVID years. We had to adapt very quickly, but adapt we did because we were being creative as well. We continued. We are now in a phase up to 2025 and having conversations about the next steps. As I said, it's been a learning journey. So whilst Lead Creative Schools has remained at the heart of the programme since the very beginning, we've responded to the evaluation as that has been happening throughout. We've reflected on the work that we have been responsible for and thinking about, is it continuing to deliver what it needs to deliver? We have responded to change around us, and we've also responded to interest from other bodies and organisations in Wales who have seen the success of the programme and had conversations with us about whether we might be able to introduce something else within the programme. So over the last 4 years, we have 3 new strands that are also central to the programme, and we're each going to say a little bit about those. So John, do you want to talk about Cynefin?
Thank you, Diane. Cynefin. A little bit of background on the Cynefin element. Following the death of George Floyd back in 2020, we were asked as a government what we're doing for Black, Asian, minority ethnic communities to feel belonging in the education system. And the answer was not a great deal. So what we did was we developed and took forward a task and finish group with Professor Charlotte Williams leading that group to look at how we could make the curriculum more diverse. Over 60 recommendations came from that report. Every one of those recommendations were accepted by the minister, which meant my team had to sort of then deliver on those 60 recommendations, which we did. We became, and they were quite proud actually of this, we became in Wales the first part of the UK, United Kingdom, for Black history to be mandatory in the curriculum. It's important. 10% of the school numbers, 10% are from Black, Asian, minority ethnic communities. One of the areas we then looked at was working with the Arts Council, having been working with them for a lot of years. I've known Diane for a lot of years. And we thought, well, you know, let's use creativity to find ways of actually developing a new strand to creative learning. And we developed the Cynefin, culturally and ethically diverse Wales, where, I'm not sure how far I'm supposed to go into this, Diane, so just say stop if I go too far, because you wanted to cover it. But basically, we bring in practitioners from Black, Asian, minority ethnic communities. They go into schools to work with pupils and get youngsters to understand backgrounds, heritage, and again, to feel part of that heritage. So it has been an extremely successful program, which has actually provided an awful lot of positives for schools who are struggling in this area themselves. So yeah, I think I'll stop there, Diana, because I could sort of go on for another half an hour, then I'll be told off for talking too much.
Okay, thank you, John. Sian, do you want to say a little bit about the second new strand, is the Creative Leadership Programme?
Great, I'll just stand here rather than dance around Diane again. But yes, this is another really important strand that is now sitting at the heart of the programme. And it's the Creative Leadership Programme that really does draw on our experience of facilitating professional learning as part of the Lead Creative Schools scheme. We know from experience that when we work with schools, those most successful inquiries tend to happen in those schools where you have the buy-in from the head teachers, or you have some really, really strong leaders that understand creativity and that actually want to invest in their own creativity, in their own creative skills, and what their own creative style of leading a school is. So it's very much about those leaders looking at themselves as creative individuals, and they identify an area within their practice that they perhaps want to develop or enhance, and really use creative approaches to get under the skin of, of some of those issues. We partner them with an individual, a creative agent that I spoke to you about earlier, and you know what kind of skills they bring. And it's very much very similar to a mentoring or kind of coaching program, actually. And it gives them some time. Teachers are really time poor. And I think one of the best things that we can give them is time and space to really look inwardly at themselves as creative leaders and how they can go on to develop and initiate a really important change within their settings. So yeah, that's the Creative Leadership Programme. And I think Diane's going to talk about early years.
Yep. So the third new strand then is creative learning in the early years. And this is such an inspiring programme. This has been developed in partnership with Early Years Wales and Mudiad Meithrin in Wales, and we were successful in getting additional funding to run this programme from a foundation called the Paul Hamlin Foundation in the UK. It introduces and explores creativity and imagination with our very youngest children. So this is preschool. So it's in childcare settings and early years settings. It's the same model as creative schools, so creative practitioners working with early years practitioners, looking at developing skills around creativity and exploring engagement, communication, play and imagination with our very, very young children. It's about stimulating their natural curiosity to learn and explore. It's in the early days. It is a learning, action learning program for us because, again, we are learning from this as well. And some very interesting stories coming out of the first phase of this piece of work. We're going to just share a little bit of data with you to finish. So, Lead Creative Schools, this is from 2015 to now. So there are 1,476 schools in Wales. 794 of those schools are now Lead Creative Schools. So they have been through the 2-year intervention with us. We've engaged through that scheme with 2,299 teachers. We have engaged with over 52,500 learners. And we have engaged just under 3,000 creative practitioners, artists in that strand. Across the whole of the programme, so this includes the experiencing the arts element of the programme, since the beginning to now, we have engaged with 90% of the schools in Wales. We are chasing the 10%. We've had just under 8,000 teacher engagements, astonishing for the programme. 234,000 learner engagements throughout the whole of the programme, and just under 4,000 creative professional engagements, creative practitioners with the programme. To finish, we want to show you, if we can make it work, what this looks like on a map of Wales. So if we could clear the map. Yes. So I've got to get this in the right order. This is experiencing the arts. So this is the arts-focused element of the programme that is all about enhancing and enriching our learners' experience of the arts. So if we put in explore, that's where it's happened. That's where explore has happened in Wales. If we add in have a go, thank you. We add in the Creative Learning Recovery Scheme, which was the COVID-focused scheme. Has that gone on there? Yes. We add in Go Creative. Yes. Super. We did a special scheme around World War I for schools in partnership with the museums in Wales. So if we just add that one in, that was a one-year intervention. And what am I missing? Creative collaborations. And then finally, the biggie, go and see. Wow. Okay, that's what it looks like of a map in Wales. And the gap in the middle, that gap in the middle are the Cambrian Mountains, okay, which is why there's a gap in the middle. Okay, so, and the Lead Creative Schools journey, so if we go to Lead Creative Schools and clear the map. We're on, I think that's it. Yes, it is. Thank you. So we'll include the 3 new strands as well. So we'll start with Cynefin. That's the bottom one. Yeah, there's the Cynefin schools. So these are the schools who have participated in the Cynefin strand. The creative leaders. Super. Our early years, which is very new. Excellent. And our Lead Creative Schools. So this is the Lead Creative Schools map. There we go. We are really pleased. And I just love the way that this looks for us. We've sort of come to the end. I'm going to ask Sian just to say a little bit about something else that we're involved in coming out of this programme, which is the Creative Playbook. And then we're going to end with another little film. Because nothing talks about the program. We can stand here and say, we can talk to you for hours, but nothing really explains what the program is about, quite like a film that has the voices of the teachers, the practitioners, and most important of all, our children and young people. So, Sian, do you want to just say a little bit about the playbook, and then we'll share the film, and then we're done, and you can ask us some questions.
Thank you. Okay, I just want to say very briefly about this playbook that is available. And it is a playbook. The clue is in the title. It's very much about playing with creativity. It's full of resources and exercises that teachers and artists alongside one another can play around with. It's a partnership between ourselves. You can see the authors of the book there. So I mentioned Bill Lucas and Ellen Spencer earlier as the people that developed the creative habits of mind. They are co-authors of the book, along with Professor Louise Stoll, who is a professional learning guru. Oh, and we have it here. Wow, I didn't realize. Thank you, Katerina, for bringing that. And Di Fisher-Naylor then, Nia Richards and Katie Milne are colleagues from Creativity, Culture and Education. My name is on the front of that book, but I'm absolutely there to represent the Arts Council and the Welsh Government and the incredible work that this programme has been doing for the last 10 years. And lots of the exercises that are in there are absolutely built on the success of the Lead Creative Schools scheme. So we're very proud to be part of this partnership. It's available in English. It's just been translated into Welsh and will be available in the Welsh language. And also Thailand have showed a lot of interest in this book. And I believe that's going to be launched later on this year. So, yes, a little plug to the book. But as Diane said, now we're just going to finish by showing a very short film that hopefully just encompasses everything that we've tried to talk to you about this morning. Thanks ever so much.
I'm Bethan Whitehead and I'm the Deputy Head Teacher of Ennisboith Primary School. We've chosen 2 artists, one of which is a blogger / illustrator, and the other is a beatboxer. From my point of view, it's about opening these children's minds to new opportunities that exist in society today. So for the children to have an opportunity to work with somebody who is very skilled, such as an artist, they're going to have the opportunity to be able to develop skills and see opportunities that weren't there previously for them.
Pupils, I hope, will gain confidence in their own abilities, with drawing, with literacy, with their own creativity, and gain some ambition for their lives in what they want to do as well, and some drive, yeah.
Already they do feel that they are valued and they're worth something, and that's really why we're here and what the project is all about.
It's going really, really well. The children are really, really engaged in the project. They're really enjoying it. We've created lots of work.
They've really come up trumps. I've been shocked by how much they've really thrown themselves into it and enjoyed putting it out there. You can't stop them now. They all want to get up on stage and do their little bit.
There's been some lovely outcomes already. So no one's having to tell them to be on task. They want to be doing what they're doing, which is really nice to see. They're already standing in front of the class doing a rap, and having seen those children at the start of the project and how underconfident they were, that's been a great progression for them, and it's had its really positive impact on their writing, which is what it's all about.
And I love that part when you see them starting to get that confidence in their own abilities and sharing their skills with others as well.
So we've just completed our first year of the Lead Creative School programme. We're at the process now of evaluating what's happened in the first year, and obviously then we're looking forward then to carry it forward into the next academic year.
The biggest thing that this project has shown is that never underestimate the kind of pupil voice in the process. And if it's not forthcoming, then find ways to kind of build the knowledge of the pupils so that they can then make the decisions that you're asking of them. When we started in this school, the pupils thought that an artist was just a painter, and they were very kind of reticent to decide what they could do creatively. And I think sometimes pupils just need a bit of help along the way, and then they can be very sure about what they want.
I think I've developed new skills of being a bit more, a bit more patient.
But they didn't see any of that as onerous, hard work, boring, and you just sit back a little bit, I think, and think we're making education difficult sometimes for ourselves, when if we can make it engaging and interesting for those children, we get a lot more out of it for them. So I've learned a lot along the way.
Even thinking about it now, I'm so proud of what they did. It was beautiful. It really was. I'm gonna cry.
Já děkuji hostům za prezentaci. Teď máme zhruba nějakých 40 minut na diskuzi. Budu ráda za vaše dotazy, ale ten první dotaz tedy položím ještě já a záměrně se dívám ještě do první řady na zástupce z ministerstev, protože naše otázka je taková, že my třeba u nás narážíme na to, že Ministerstvo školství a Ministerstvo kultury mluví třeba trochu jiným jazykem a naším cílem je to najít společnou terminologii. Jak to bylo ve Walesu? Na jaké překážky jste třeba v komunikaci těchto dvou sektorů naráželi a co pomohlo tomu splynutí?
God, you start off. Come here.
Okay, that is on. Yes. Certainly when, I think John will agree, that when we started on this journey, that was absolutely the case. We were talking about the arts, we were talking about creativity. I think the educate, and we'd been having these conversations for some time. So we had, for a number of years, been talking about the importance of the arts and creativity in schools. But we were, in terms of education, exactly what you said, we were talking a slightly different language. So it was hard. We were pushing at a door that felt closed. I think that the synergy of us managing to persuade colleagues in Welsh Government to commission a review of the state of the arts in schools, around about the same time that the government itself had recognised that the curriculum needed to be looked at in detail. The synergy of that, the coming together of that was so important, because had that review of the curriculum not been happening, and had the result of that review not come out and said what it said, I think we would have found our journey a lot more difficult. But because we arrived at a point in time where we had said, look what's happening in schools. This isn't good enough, this isn't right, this isn't fair. Our learners need something very different. And the review of the curriculum had also identified the importance of the arts and creativity. That was the moment where we were able to go, right, finally, we're starting to talk the same language. Now let's work together and build on from there.
Yeah, just to add from what Diane mentioned there from sort of a government perspective, basically, as Diane mentioned, the report came in as officials. We could see the benefits, but it's like everything, money. How much funding do we have to be able to support something which we're not sure if it's going to work or not? The minister at the time, I think it was Hugh Lewis, the Minister for Education, met with the chair of the Arts Council and basically made an agreement that we would match fund the money. So basically, whatever the Arts Council put into the project, Welsh Government would match it. The importance of that is it became an actual partnership working, equal partners, both wanting the project to actually work moving forward. A lot of trust was really important, trusting each other and working with each other and building good working relations. It's taken time. As Diane mentioned, we're on year 10 now. In that time, I've had 4 different ministers. Each time we've been able to convince each minister that this is actually working, it's making a difference. But the key to all this for me was the match funding. I think this is the first time as Welsh Government we've actually worked with any stakeholders where we've actually had equal partnership, and that was a great success. So my, sort of what lessons learned from the whole process for us is the match funding and ministerial commitment.
Já ještě poprosím tedy zástupce z MŠMT, jestli by se nám k tomu vyjádřili. Není to úplně fair, protože tady už nevidíme pana Němečka, takže to nebude zcela vyrovnané, ale možná tedy ještě za vás, kde myslíte, že je tedy prostor pro zlepšení té komunikace?
Děkujeme za slovo. Já možná začnu od prostředka. Česká republika právě prochází revizi národního kurikula. Takže jsme ve velkém procesu, kdy měníme národní kurikulum a měníme způsob, jak vzdělávat děti. Začínáme od základních škol, ale návazné kurikulum je i pro předškolní vzdělávání, i pro střední vzdělávání. Ten proces trvá dlouho a je to asi normální. My jsme i zjišťovali od partnerů z evropských zemí, že ty diskuze vždycky trvají dlouho o tom, jak to národní kurikulum má vypadat. A teď jsme v takové závěrečné fázi a oblasti kreativního vzdělávání jsou průřezovým tématem, které spadá do všech dalších oblastí vzdělávání. Ale abych se vrátila k té otázce, spolupráce s Ministerstvem kultury je trošku složitější, protože vy jste říkali, že pro vás je důležité partnerství a že za 10 let se vyměnili 4 ministři školství. U nás se během 3 let vyměnili 4 ministři školství. Čili to partnerství je to velmi dynamická situace a je vždy důležité vysvětlit ty kroky a hledat ty správné partnery pro spolupráci. Každý ten ministr přichází se svými prioritami a nám se úplně nedaří mít ty národní priority. Protože je tady hodně cílů, které sledujeme. Sledujeme výsledky ve vzdělávání, abychom se umisťovali dobře v šetření PISA, měli dobré čtenářské a matematické znalosti, podporovali well-being a duševní zdraví u dětí, sportovní a pohybové aktivity, což víme, že teď je problém, a další udržitelnost ve vzdělávání a další a další. Těch cílů je opravdu jako hodně a těch priorit. A někdy je pro nás složité se domluvit na těch vysloveně prioritách, které jsou. Ale teď v tuhle chvíli, abych se znovu vrátila k té otázce, nám chybí ten správný partner a ten dialog se nám s Ministerstvem kultury úplně nedaří. A proto jsme i tady na takovéhle akci, abychom se zkusili provázat a více zasíťovat a abychom našli i ty příklady inspirativní praxe i od vás, jak na to.
Diane, chcete reagovat? Diane, chcete reagovat?
I was just going to say, I recognise what you've just been talking about. We are, the Arts Council of Wales is funded by the Culture Ministry, so we're one of their key organisations in terms of delivering and developing arts and culture in Wales. So they were very much at the table. They were with us and part of the development of the plan in the early stages, but we were the main partner. And partly because we were in a position, we are funded by the Welsh Government, but we also have funds from the UK National Lottery. So we are a lottery distributor. We get funding to distribute to good causes. And we were able to draw on that funding to say that we would support this programme. The other thing that, as you were talking, that occurs to me is, in the very early days of us looking at the plan to take forward the recommendations, we had conversations about pilot projects. Do a pilot. And a pilot might have been 1 year. But we, through those conversations, I think we were very clear that if we're going to do this and we're going to properly demonstrate the difference that this programme and this way of teaching and learning can make to the lives of our young people, we need to commit to beyond a pilot. And that's why, after a lot of conversations, we eventually arrived at a point of saying 5 years. It takes time to make this kind of change. 1 year is not going to give you the evidence that you need to be able to tell the next minister and the next minister how important this way of working is. That's why we committed to the 5-year programme, and that's why we committed to an external evaluation of the 5-year programme, so that we would have the evidence to say, because the same in Wales, as John said, we've had different ministers, but importantly, we've had the evidence from the delivery of the programme over a sustained period of time with more schools, more agents, more learners, that we've been able to say, look at the impact that this is having. You have to continue to support it. New minister, look at what's happening here. So that idea of doing like 1 year and then another year, we said from the beginning, that is not going to work if we're going to make the real change that we want to make.
Just to add, I feel your pain for that number of ministers. It's hard going. I've just got a new minister now have come in. It's again getting back up to speed again. You mentioned about sort of different priorities, and one of the things we ensured with the creative learning program was that we wanted it to focus on particular areas, literacy and numeracy, especially at the beginning. And the way we look at the program going forward, my sell to the minister over the summer will be, let's extend for another year, minister, and let's focus on your particular priorities for the next 12 months, because then you've got the buy-in from the minister straight away. I haven't told Diane this yet, by the way, so this is all new. Diane's writing it all down now. What's the priorities for the new minister? But basically, it's an agile program where we really look each year. What's the real issue? Certain things come up. You just can't plan ahead. I mentioned earlier on this slides about the George Floyd situation. We didn't know what was going to happen. So you have to have agile programs. And the great thing about having a good working relationship with the Arts Council, we can sit down, have a chat, and make sure we're actually delivering for what the minister wants, but also what the learners need.
Já vyžiju toho, že Ludmila Třeštíková, Vítězslav Slíva s MŠMT mají stále mikrofon. A vy jste říkali už před začátkem akce, že určitě budete mít dotazy. Tak já tedy dám prostor, abyste položili první dotaz.
Díky moc. Já bych se chtěl zeptat na jednu věc, už to tady padlo, a týkalo se to vlastně komunikace, v tomhle případě nějaké mezirezortní komunikace. Ale jako další věc, s kterou si myslím, že trošku bojujeme, je obecně komunikace. Komunikace toho tématu, protože to, jak třeba veřejnost, někdy i odborná veřejnost vnímá potřeby vzdělávacího systému, co ten vzdělávací systém má vlastně dělat, jsou často v nesouladu s tím, co si myslíme my, že vzdělávací systém potřebuje. A to je právě i potřeba vlastně přesvědčit tu veřejnost o významu těch témat, který vlastně chceme propisovat, ať už právě skrz revize a podobně. A tady to právě vypadá, že třeba umění a kreativita jsou potom vlastně něco, co se má dít jenom po škole, v neformálním vzdělávání. Možná to ani tak úplně do vzdělávání nepatří. A my tak trošku potom bojujeme vlastně s tím, že je potřeba přesvědčovat ty lidi vůbec o tom, že je to něco, co má být integrální a průřezovou součástí vzdělávání a vzdělávací politiky. A mě by zajímalo, jestli vy jste vlastně s veřejností měli nějaký jako podobný problém, jestli bylo potřeba nějak si vyjasnit ten narrativ a případně jakým způsobem se to vlastně komunikovalo, pokud ten problém nastal třeba i u vás.
Shall I start? Yeah. Diane nods, which means I got to start. Okay. Take the headphones off, echoing. As far as getting people on board, I suppose in some ways we were quite fortunate. New curriculum for Wales, lots of consultation when we developed the curriculum. As I mentioned earlier on, expressive arts, one of the 6 areas of learning experience, is within the 4 purposes, creativity as well. Within consultations, we explained why we were moving in this direction. As I mentioned, with the new curriculum, it was built with stakeholders, with practitioners, parents, learners. So we went through that process of getting them engaged at an early stage and coming on the journey with us, rather than we're on a journey, come on, jump on the bus now, which is not the way. So it's a lot of work at the beginning. Do we know we're being successful? You know, you look at what's happening with creative learning through the stats Diana's shown, yes. But there's always pressure on GCSEs in the UK. You know, how many GCSEs? Sciences, maths, English. But we're trying to get the message across that the expressive arts can support all of the curriculum, okay? By teaching through a creative way will improve science, will improve maths, will improve literacy. So it's a journey we're going on, but all advice would be is have those conversations as early as possible.
Okay, yeah, no, I think that's absolutely, that was key to I've been involved, I have been working in the arts in Wales for a very long time. And I've been working at the Arts Council of Wales for quite some time as well. And I've been on a journey. I was the dance officer when I first joined many years ago. But during that course of time, I've actually been involved in 3 reviews of the curriculum. And this latest, this review was completely different to any of the others. And it was different because, as John has said, and I just want to emphasize it, it's different because it wasn't done from the top down. It didn't just rely on the experts coming into a space and saying, this is what the curriculum for Wales needs to look like. It talked, again, to children and young people. It communicated with the public and with parents. But it also, over a period of, I think, 12 months, again, John, it had schools, so pioneer schools, who actually wrote the areas of learning. So it was the teachers, the practitioners, the ones who would be delivering this, who actually did all of the work on devising those areas of learning, bringing their lived experience from the classroom into that space. And that's what's so different about it. I was involved as well. It brought in external agents as well. So I was involved in the development of the expressive arts curriculum, again, bringing in that knowledge and experience from the arts sector in Wales. So it was designed in a very different way. And I think because of that, there is much more buy-in to what this curriculum is all about and what it's trying to achieve than we would have had, and certainly than we had previously with other new curriculums.
I'm just going to add something. It's a small addition, but just to bring it back to a school level, because you talked about buy-in from the general public and things like that. It's the parental engagement as well that's really important, and we're seeing that coming through the work that we do. So when we talk about learner engagement, we know that the learners are going home and they're actually talking about their school day. So they're talking about their learning experience much, much more, and that's engaging the parents as well. So that learning isn't something that just stays within the classroom. It's actually going out to the community, to families, and to the wider general public as well. So that slowly but surely, that message is dripping through.
Thank you. Jo, díky moc za ty odpovědi. Určitě jedna věc, důležitý začít komunikovat co nejdřív, protože si myslím, že u nás ta komunikace je právě často spíš reaktivní, než že bychom sami ta témata vlastně nějak nastolovali. A to je určitě jedna z těch věcí, kterou se snažíme nějakým způsobem změnit. Další věc je určitě transparentní zapojování co nejširšího kruhu lidí. V současnosti zrovna běží shodou okolností ta veřejná konzultace ke kurikulární reformě, takže se určitě nebojte zapojit. Budeme rádi, když to právě bude komentovat větší množství lidí, takže to taky určitě považujeme za důležitou složku, takže taky díky za to. A potom samozřejmě vy jste zmiňovala rodiče a to je taky že další bod, se kterým se určitě pořád bojuje. To je o tom, že vlastně učitelé potřebují nějakou podporu v tom, jak vlastně ta témata třeba i komunikovat, pokud se jakoby vlastně dostanou do komunikace s rodiči, protože někdy může být konstruktivní, někdy může být destruktivní, takže je to určitě o podpoře vlastně pedagogů, jak vlastně s rodiči třeba pracovat nebo jak je případně zapojovat, což si myslím, že je taky docela důležitý a někdy asi přehlížený téma. A měl možná ještě jenom jeden dotaz, pak už to asi předáme dál, ať si to tady úplně nesyslíme. Ještě bych se možná zeptal na to, jak se vám potom dařilo ty témata v té kurikulární reformě zapojovat přímo do terénu a do výuky, protože naše minulá kurikulární reforma byla vlastně dobře napsaná, ale málo kdo s ní vlastně tak nějak pracoval, což si myslím, že je jako super, že je to na papíře, ale dostat to do terénu je něco jiného. My se teď snažíme mnohem víc podporovat to, aby vlastně ta nová kurikulární reforma se opravdu do terénu dostala, aby pedagogové měli nějakou podporu. Doufáme, že tentokrát se to podaří víc, ale pokud máte něco k tomu, jakým způsobem jste to dělali vy, tak určitě jsem jedno velký ucho.
That's a bit of pressure. Dear me. As far as the curriculum was concerned, it is making sure you get teachers involved at the early stage, which it is different, and it takes a long, long time as well, because it's much easier as government officials sit down in our office, write a curriculum, do a little consultation, but we know what we want anyway, and then say, please deliver. Gosh, those were the days. But it was not the right way. It was not the right way. It was not the right way. If this is being recorded, that was not the right way. Okay? The right way is what we've done with the curriculum for Wales. It is about collaboration, working together, listening to practitioners. You know, I'm a civil servant. I've worked in education 15 years. I've never taught in a classroom. So it's actually important for us to be listening to the practitioners, but also listening to stakeholders. You know, there's a lot of stakeholders out there who actually work with schools now, who can do more with schools if they actually feel part of it. You know, we want to really sort of work more closely with industry, and we're still trying to get industry involved. Very difficult, but we still want to get them more involved, as well as listening to the learners. As far as sort of parents are concerned, it is important because, you know, parents will always refer back mine to when they were in school, and it's trying to make sure they understand the difference with the new curriculum. And one of the things we did do in Wales was we had lots of focus groups. We got parents together in the school to talk about the new curriculum, what we were trying to do, getting their engagement. And again, it's important getting that buy-in. Get the buy-in, it will hopefully be successful. But also, another thing about the curriculum in Wales is about trust. We as government and ministers have to trust practitioners to deliver the curriculum. If we don't trust them, it won't get delivered. And it's really hard because over the years, everything has been so prescriptive. And now we're saying, we trust you. We have pressure then if the GCSE results go down. Minister, what are you doing? The new curriculum's not working. PISA results come in. We're not going right up. What are you doing, Minister? The curriculum's not working. You've got all of that against you all the time. You're nodding. You know where I'm coming from. You experience this day in, day out like I do. And it is really difficult getting ministers to hold the nerve. The curriculum will take time to embed in Wales. The early indications, it's going okay. I'm not going to say it's going brilliant because it won't. It's new. It takes time. You've got to give it 5 to 6 years for it to be really embedded. But the early indications are through the evaluation that is ongoing, which is really important. Get the evaluation and make sure we've got the evidence. And also being prepared then to make changes if we have to. Rather than saying, oh, no, we consulted on this 4 years ago. We're happy with it. Things move on. AI is coming in. Goodness knows what's going to affect that. I won't start talking about AI, don't worry, because we'll be here all afternoon because it's like, oh my gosh, where is that going to lead us? So I'm going to stop there, I think. Diane, is there anything you want to add?
I was just going to add, and I will say, I think over the years, education has learnt a lot from our creative approaches to all of this. But also, just one thing to mention is professional learning for teachers. And there's a really important part of the implementation of the curriculum. There's a whole branch, isn't there, in education that is responsible for professional learning. Our Creative Leaders Programme is an element of that. So there is professional learning that is being delivered. It's being supported and delivered at a national level, but also, importantly, at a municipality level. So local authorities for their schools are develop and delivering professional learning programs to help and support schools as they take on and start to implement the new curriculum and take responsibility for it. Because as John has said, the new curriculum in Wales is a framework. It's down to the schools how it gets delivered, a whole different space for them. So that professional learning for them is really important and a key part that has been built into the design of the new curriculum.
Tak já dám prostor dalším dotazům. Chce se někdo zeptat? Nikdo nemá další dotaz? Tak já... Dobře, Kataríno.
Katarína Kaliotová, Společnost pro kreativitu a vzdělávání. A moje otázka by směrovala k tomu, zmiňovali jste spolupráci na úrovni ministerstev, na úrovni těch hlav, a taky zmiňujete distribuci rolí na úrovni municipalit. Jak to konkrétně vypadá? V České republice máme v situaci, že několik krajů a měst se zapojilo do koordinace kreativního učení díky Národnímu plánu obnovy, a možná by nás zajímala, nebo mě, zkušenost Walesu, jak to vypadá někde ve středě.
Right, I think I got the full translation in about sort of working sort of through the municipalities. We focus on the creative learning through the arts. We have really sort of worked closely with each of the areas across Wales, and we have regular partnership meetings with them. I call it partnership because it is partnership rather than just meetings with them. The idea of those partnership meetings is to work with them to ensure that the Arts Council and the Welsh Government are supporting them in taking forward the creative learning through the arts programme. That has been extremely successful. They all want to have their part as far as the number of schools in their area receiving funding for creative learning through the arts. So you do have that sort of, well, we want our schools involved in this, which is really good because it gets the message across more then as well. On a sort of government basis, we work extremely closely with local authorities. We provide the funding, we provide terms and conditions of that funding to ensure what we want delivered is delivered. So that's a way of us actually using it. Diane, do you want to sort of talk more about the partnership?
I will do. So right from the very beginning of the programme, we've had a partnership group. So that's been ourselves, our education colleagues, culture colleagues are at the table as well. But also there's a tier between the municipalities and the Welsh Government that are called the Education Consortia. So they are part of that partnership as well, as is our schools inspection service, Estin. They are also a partner and have been a partner right from the very beginning so that they really understand what the creative learning programme is about when they're going into schools to inspect. So that partnership has been really important right from the very start. We also, the directors of education for all of the municipalities, local authorities, they meet on a regular basis and we go into those conversations as well. So we have a voice at that table to talk about the work that we're doing around creative learning. So we're making sure that we're part of those conversations and have been right from the very start of the programme.
Tak, vidím, ano, tamhle jednu zvednutou ruku. Poprosím kolegyně o mikrofon.
Dobrý den, Radek Marušák. Já bych na začátku chtěl vyjádřit emoci. Já moc děkuji za ty 2 hodiny s vámi, protože jsem si tady zažíval takové profesní štěstí a naději. Takže to je jenom emoce na začátku. Moc za to děkuju. Ta otázka, já těch otázek mám hodně. Mám prostě spoustu poznámek a hodně otázek. A vybíral jsem. A možná ta, která by mě teď zajímala, je ta, víte tedy, že probíhá nějaká revize u nás, nějaká revize, která se dotýká i oblasti umění a kultura. A my docela, s čím se potýkáme, je i nějaká tradice, která tady byla, která je poměrně silná. A ta revize, já děkuji za to, že jste mluvili o tom, že u vás probíhala dlouhodobě na základě prostě zacílení nějakých impulzů a postupně. Tady se teď dějí ty věci poměrně rychle v této chvíli. A vyrovnat se s tou tradicí je někdy docela náročné. Takže první otázka, jestli byste nám mohli říct, jestli vy jste měli podobný problém, to znamená nějak se vyrovnat s tou tradicí a jaká vlastně byla. Jestli tedy ta proměna byla jako nějak dramatická, jak jste se s ní vyrovnávali, nebo naopak pozvolná, protože to jsou možná nějaké zkušenosti, které teď tady máme a které nás provázejí. Tak to je první otázka, nevím, jestli jsem srozumitelný. A druhá otázka, velmi mě zaujalo v té vaší prezentaci to, že jste mluvili o volitelnosti, dokonce volitelnosti žáků. Žáci si vybírají umělce, programy, do kterých budou vstupovat a tak. My jsme přesně na tom kurikulu nějakým způsobem podílím, tak jsme hodně chtěli vlastně jít i touto cestou, to znamená volitelnosti, ale narážíme na docela velké výzvy. Samozřejmě finanční a tak dále, to víme, že narážíme vždycky. To jsou nějaké otázky, které provázejí tyto proměny vždy, ale třeba i na takové věci, jako je rovné příležitosti, protože ta volitelnost není rovná pro všechny všude. Určitě volitelnost je jiná pro ty, kteří jsou z centra a jiná volitelnost je pro ty, kteří jsou z vyloučených lokalit. To znamená, že potom definovat nějaké základní úrovně toho vzdělávání a jestli můžeme jít vůbec tou cestou volitelnosti, jestli tam nenarazíme právě na to, že to jde proti rovným příležitostem a podobné věci. Jak jste s tím pracovali, zaznamenal jsem zase, že tam máte třeba nějaké dotační programy pro školy nebo přímo pro žáky, kteří jsou ze sociálně slabších prostředí. Tak už jsem hodně dlouhý, tak dvě takové otázky. Jedna, tedy ta tradice a druhá je tedy, jak pracovat s tímto, co se týká, protože si myslím, že ta oblast je specifická, ta volitelnost je tam opravdu potřebná. Myslím si, že ta oblast umění a kultura opravdu s tímhletím docela jako by měla zacházet jako možná jinak než jiné oblasti kurikula. Tak, děkuji za trpělivost.
That was a lot of questions. First of all, thank you for your kind comments regarding the presentation. A lot of that work goes to Sian and Diane. I just came along for the ride, basically, and just sort of talked about what I've been doing. So they've done the hard work. 3 questions. I'm going to do them in reverse order, because I think the third one was the easiest one. So on the third question, you asked about what subsidies are provided for children from deprived backgrounds, basically. Okay, there's a couple of things. What we have in Wales is the pupil deprivation grant, where we provide extra funding to schools where they have what we call high free school meals. Okay, so if they have high free school meal numbers, they get extra money to support those particular youngsters. And that's really important to get those youngsters opportunities that perhaps they wouldn't normally get. Actually, I talk about free school meals, actually what we're doing in Wales, which is quite something actually, is all primary schools now is being rolled out having free school meals for everyone, no matter what their background, to ensure equality. And that, although is expensive, we feel by every youngster having a good lunch, they're going to be sort of really focused for their learning. So that's something on that third question. I'm going to leave the second question to Diane. So I'm going to do the first question. And I think the first question, I can't get my notes now, there's so many questions. The first question was on, was it the pupils review or pupils? Yeah. For the actual pupils of the curriculum for Wales, yeah. When it came to sort of discussing the new curriculum, we were very keen on engaging with young people, because at the end of the day, young people are going to be the learners. So it was important that we work closely with them. We had a separate consultation document for young people. We had focus groups for young people. And we made sure their voices were heard. Okay, it is important to get the youngsters' view. We also got in Wales what we call a youth parliament, where young people come together and discuss policy issues. And we had lots of advice from the Youth Parliament during the review of the curriculum. So they were the sort of mechanisms we used to review the curriculum as far as young people were concerned. Diane, I'm going to go to you now for question number 2.
Well, I'm going to hand that one over to Sian in a moment. But just in terms of the review, I wasn't quite sure which review particularly you were asking about, because we did 2. But I'll refer to the review that we did on behalf of Welsh Government, which was the review of arts education in schools and the place of arts in schools. Right, we're the Arts Council. We kind of knew what was happening, okay? That the possibilities for artists and arts organisations to go into schools was becoming less and less and less because the arts were not important. So we knew what the situation was, but we needed to do that piece of work so that we had the evidence to support what it was we were hearing from our colleagues in the sector and what we already knew for ourselves. So when that report came forward, we were delighted. It was initially meant to focus very specifically on the arts, but during the course of the year of the review, the whole question of creativity came up as well. And as I said earlier, creativity disappearing from learning as well. So that emerged as a key theme. So we were absolutely delighted with what came out of that year-long review. And then being tasked with devising a plan to address all of that. What we didn't know absolutely from our position was what was going to come out of the curriculum review that was happening at the same time. So actually, when that came out, when the recommendations came out, Successful Futures came out, and it also said creativity has to be one of the 4 core purposes of a curriculum for Wales. It's got to be in there. And it also said the expressive arts needs to be one of the 6 areas of learning, sitting alongside maths and numeracy and literacy, not underneath it, but alongside it. So when that happened, at the same time as us devising our plan, it was a wow moment. It really was. It was, yes, we can really drive change together now. We can. So it could have been very different, as I think I've said earlier, but it was absolutely that kind of pinnacle moment for us of now we can really make a change. Sian, do you want to just say a little bit about pupil voice in school? Because pupil voice is central to the new curriculum. So again, in terms of the creative learning programme and Lead Creative Schools, pupils being part of the decision-making is absolutely key. But I'll ask Sian to just explain what that looks like.
Yes, I did see a clock in front of me earlier, so I'm aware of the time, so I'll try and be brief. But I think as part of your second question, you did mention pupil choice and them having a choice and playing a part in the decisions that's made. With the Lead Creative Schools scheme, any kind of it's inquiry-led, right? And so anything that they do is also kind of built in and is related to their school development plan. So it's very bespoke to that school. And teachers wanting to apply to take part will have thought about what age group do I want to work with here and what are the group of learners that I want to explore these creative approaches to teaching and learning on. So that's kind of done in advance. But then when it comes to actually planning the project, when schools apply, we don't ask them to apply with an idea. We don't have the monopoly on good ideas. We want the schools to work alongside the artists to come up with those ideas. But fundamentally, we want the learners to be part of those planning conversations as well. So any intervention with the Lead Creative Schools, it's split into 3 areas. There's a planning phase, an implementation phase, and there's an evaluation phase. And the learners are central at every one of those 3 stages. So they're completely part of the decision-making process. And it doesn't matter if it goes off track. It doesn't matter if the original idea didn't quite turn out to be the way that they wanted it to be. In fact, we encourage them to go off in different directions and explore different ways of answering. They will have devised an inquiry question as part of this process right at the start, and they can explore multiple ways of trying to answer that question in as many creative ways as possible. But they're absolutely central to the work that we do in Wales. I hope that helps answer your question a little bit.
Já děkuji našim hostům, že nám dnes věnovali takřka 2 hodiny svého času, že se s námi podělili o své poznatky. Děkuji Diane Hub a Sean James, Art Council of Wales a John Paxley, vedoucí kurikula velšské vlády. Děkujeme.